Xerak's military academy orbited a dying red star like a blade suspended in darkness. Its hull was stark silver, sharp as a scalpel, surrounded by docking rings that rotated to simulate gravity. The station belonged to the Galactic Concord's elite warrior caste, a place where entire species proved their merit. Humans had never been invited before. Today, that changed. Arya Salas stood on the arrival platform with her pack slung over one shoulder. The air smelled metallic and sterile, colder than any spaceport she'd trained in. Her breath crystallized in the frigid air as she waited for the scanning arch to verify her identity. Name: Arya Salas. Status: Exchange Cadet. Origin: Earth, Deathworld Class 5, A murmur rippled through the gathered alien cadets. Deathworld species. She looks too small. She'll break during the first combat rotation. Arya ignored them. Her face was calm, composed, focused. She'd trained for harder environments. Antarctic winter, Himalayan low-oxygen drills, SEAL underwater hypoxia. Pain was familiar. Humiliation held no power. The scanner beam swept her body. Humming. Cleared. The gate hissed open. One step inside the academy, and she felt the atmosphere shift. The corridor was wide, lined with banners of military houses, claw sigils, talon crests, planetary emblems. The humanoid species towered over her. Some were scaled, others armored with plated exoskeletons. All radiated confidence. She was the only human. Every footstep echoed. A squad of alien cadets blocked the walkway ahead, whispering. Their uniforms were black with crimson piping, the elite tactical unit. They looked at her as though she was a lab animal that had escaped its container. At the center stood Threx Varzul, tall, broad-shouldered with slate-colored reptilian skin and yellow predator eyes that narrowed with predatory amusement. His movements carried lazy arrogance, like someone who expected the world to bow for him. Arya kept moving. Her steps were even, unhurried. When she reached them, Threx stepped directly into her path. "You are the human," he said. His voice was deep, rough, like stones grinding together. "I am," Arya said. "You will speak only when spoken to. That is the rule of your place here." Arya met his eyes without flinching. "Respect is not a place. It's a choice," the cadets snickered. One of them hissed a laugh. Another murmured something about fragile bones. Threx tilted his head, amused by her steady composure. "You misunderstand. We don't respect your kind. Your species clawed its way into space with scrap metal and stubbornness. A fluke of evolution." Arya didn't respond. He leaned closer, wanting a rise from her. "You look soft." Soft. They always assumed softness meant weakness. She stepped around him. He matched her step, blocking the path again. "What? Nothing to say?" he asked. There was nothing to say to someone desperate for validation. Silence stripped power better than any insult. Threx's jaw tightened. He wanted dominance, and she was denying it. They were now in the central training hall. Wide floor, banners hanging high, balconies filled with cadets gathering for morning drills. Hundreds of eyes turned toward the confrontation. A spectacle. He wanted an audience. Fine. Arya stood still. Threx's lip curled. He inhaled once, slow and deep, gathering saliva. She saw it before he even moved. He spit. The glob of viscous, acid-tinged saliva splattered onto her right boot. It sizzled slightly against the protective polish, leaving an ugly smear of green sludge. The hall fell into a hush. Someone gasped. Threx leaned back, smug. "Now kneel and clean it. With your hand." "That will teach you—" Arya lifted her gaze, slow and controlled. Her voice was level. No anger. No tremor. "You have 10 seconds to walk away." The entire hall froze. Threx blinked, as if confirming he heard correctly. "Excuse me?" 10. She placed her pack down on the floor with deliberate precision, never breaking eye contact. Her tone remained even, not threatening, not emotional. "Walk away, or I will remove you." The cadets reacted. "She's insane. She thinks she can fight him. She'll be in the infirmary within seconds." Threx barked out a laugh. "Human, you don't give orders here." We decide when discipline is enforced. He stepped closer, towering over her. Arya didn't move. 9. Her voice carried through the hall, quiet but absolute. The cadets on the balcony leaned forward. This was no bluster. She was counting like someone timing a demolition charge. Threx's brow furrowed. "Are you trying to intimidate me?" he asked, voice straining. 8. Her tone didn't change. She wiped the spit from her boot using a cloth pulled from her pocket. Slow, unhurried, dismissing him without words. That humiliated him more than if she'd drawn a weapon. Whispers spread like, "Wildfire! She's not reacting! She's provoking him! She's fearless." Threx's throat tightened. "You think counting will save you?" 7. Arya knelt, not to submit, but to look at her boot. She inspected the remaining residue with surgical calm. Then she stood up again, folding the cloth. Threx's claws flexed, a physical tick of irritation. "You are inferior," he growled. "No." She looked at him, eyes steady. "I am trained." The cadets around them shifted uneasily. Control radiated from her like a pressure wave. 6. This was psychological warfare, was not muscle. Threx moved closer until their faces were inches apart. His breath smelled metallic. He wanted her to break eye contact. She didn't even blink. "You think your threats mean something?" he said, voice rising. 5. Her tone was flat, undisturbed. The countdown cut through his ego like a blade. 4. Threx sneered, voice cracking with simmering anger. "Say another number and I'll—" 3. He flinched, not from the number, from how uncaring it sounded. She wasn't threatening him out of rage. She was stating fact. 2. The entire hall was silent now. No one breathed. The weight of inevitability settled over them all. Arya's eyes never wavered. 1. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. Threx moved. He lunged, claws outstretched, confident that his species' strength would tear through whatever this small human planned. Arya's muscles didn't tense. She simply shifted her weight. Threx lunged forward, claws slicing through the air. The movement was fast, but Arya had trained against faster. Years of conditioning had turned reflex into precision. Her stance didn't shift until the last instant. Then her body flowed like water. The alien's strike hit nothing but air. Arya pivoted, sidestepped, and redirected his momentum with a sharp twist of her wrist. The force he'd meant for her turned inward. His own weight betrayed him. He stumbled, boots screeching across the floor. Gasps rippled through the hall. Threx recovered with an enraged snarl, swinging again. This time she didn't dodge entirely, and she deflected. A parry so subtle it looked like coincidence. Her movement was minimal, efficient, born of decades of human martial logic honed in lethal environments. The crowd saw only flashes, a blur of controlled precision versus brute aggression. "Stay still, human," Threx spat. His voice cracked. His claws slashed again, catching only air. Arya's breathing was measured. Every inhalation deliberate, every exhale grounded. Her mind wasn't in the fight. It was in control. A whisper from her memory echoed, the voice of her SEAL instructor. "Never fight their strength. Let them trip on their confidence," Threx charged again, rage overriding caution. Arya waited until the last possible fraction of a second, then stepped inside his reach. Her shoulder met his chest. Her elbow found his diaphragm. The impact folded him forward. A hiss escaped his throat as air rushed out. Before he could react, she hooked behind his leg and turned her hip. His balance vanished. His body met the floor with a metallic thud that echoed through the chamber. Silence. The other cadets froze, eyes wide. Threx wheezed, trying to rise. His claws scraped the floor, trembling from the shock. He swung wildly, desperate to reassert dominance, but Arya had already moved. One step to the side, calm as if she were observing a malfunctioning machine. She didn't strike again. "She didn't need to. Stop this madness," shouted an instructor from the balcony, but no one dared move. The spectacle had seized them. Threx pushed to his knees, eyes burning with fury. "You dare humiliate me?" Arya's reply was quiet, cold. "You humiliated yourself." He lunged again, reckless, disoriented. Arya flowed backward, avoiding each swipe by inches. Then she caught his wrist, twisted sharply, and forced him face first to the ground. His body hit the alloy floor with another hollow clang. The move was clean, non-lethal, efficient, decisive. Her boot pressed lightly against the back of his neck, applying just enough pressure to remind him what 10 seconds had bought. "Don't move," she said. Her voice wasn't angry. It was factual, a command stripped of emotion. That scared them more than rage ever could. Threx tried to push up. The moment his muscles tensed, Arya shifted her foot a fraction, pinning him without effort. His arms buckled. "You have a dislocation in your right shoulder," she said evenly. "Keep struggling and you'll tear it." He froze. The audience didn't understand how someone so small could move like that. They didn't understand Deathworld physiology, the human nervous system tuned by centuries of survival on a planet that never forgave hesitation. A cadet whispered, "She's reading him like a machine." Arya looked up at the hall filled with silent faces. Her eyes swept across them, calm, deliberate, clinical. "No arrogance, no gloating, only control. This is what you wanted to see," she said. "Now you know." She stepped back, letting Threx breathe. He rolled to his side, gasping, clutching his arm. His claws dug into the floor, scraping as if the metal itself would restore his dignity. Arya bent, picked up her pack, and slung it over her shoulder. "You had your 10 seconds, Threx snarled, pushing to his feet despite the pain. His voice trembled. "You think this changes anything? You're still human. You're still prey." Arya paused. "You mistake discipline for weakness." She adjusted her collar, eyes never leaving his. "That's why you lost." For a moment, no one spoke. Then slow applause started from the far side of the hall. One cadet, then another. Not in celebration, but acknowledgement. Threx's nostrils flared. "You dare! Enough!" A thunderous voice cut through the tension. The training hall's main doors opened, revealing the Academy commander, General Ziricon, a towering insectoid veteran. Carapace dark as obsidian, every cadet snapped to attention, rigid with fear. Arya stood still. The commander descended the stairs, his footsteps heavy. His compound eyes studied the scene. Threx bleeding from a cut along his jaw, the human unarmed and composed, the entire hall paralyzed. "What happened?" the commander asked. Threx stammered. She attacked me." The general's antennae twitched once. "Is that true, Cadet Solace?" Arya met his gaze without hesitation. "No, sir. I defended myself when assaulted," murmurs stirred again. The commander raised a clawed hand, silencing them instantly. "Explain," he said. Arya's tone was professional, neutral. Cadet Threx initiated aggression through physical contact and a degrading act. I gave him a verbal warning and a time limit. He chose to ignore both. The general's gaze flicked toward Threx. "Is this true?" Threx hesitated. The hall's security sensors glowed faintly, recording playback visible on the walls. The footage confirmed everything. Threx's spit, Arya's calm countdown, and her flawless, proportional defense. The room filled with an uncomfortable quiet. The commander turned back to Arya. "You gave him 10 seconds?" "Yes, sir. Why 10? She thought for a moment. "Because mercy should have a measure." Something shifted in the alien's expression. Not anger, not approval, but respect. He nodded once, slow. "Report to my office after morning drills." The rest of you, dismissed. The cadets hesitated, uncertain whether to obey. One glare from the commander made them scatter. Threx stood trembling, his pride shredded more than his body. He looked at Arya as though seeing a ghost from a planet that shouldn't exist. "This isn't over," he whispered. Arya walked past him, voice quiet. "It never is." As she stepped through the hall doors, whispers followed, low, fearful, reverent. The words passed from one cadet to the next, echoing through the corridors like a new legend forming in real time. "The human counts down." She reached the empty corridor beyond the hall. Her hands trembled for the first time, adrenaline finally bleeding away. She exhaled slowly, centering herself. There had been 1,000 ways to react. She'd chosen the one that preserved both her dignity and her people's reputation. Every second of restraint had mattered. Her reflection in the polished wall met her gaze, calm, collected, faintly tired. Beneath the surface, her pulse was thunder. The voice of her old commander echoed in memory. Sometimes, Solace, the scariest soldier in the room is the one who doesn't want to be there. She allowed herself a brief, humorless smile. The Academy's intercom buzzed overhead. Cadet Aria Solace, report to Command Office 03A. She straightened her uniform and turned toward the lift. Behind her, the hall still smelled faintly of acid and ozone, the scent of fear and silence intertwined. 10 seconds. That's all it had taken to change how an entire academy viewed humanity. The lift shot upward with a smooth hum, carrying Aria toward the highest level of the academy. Frost climbed the glass walls as the temperature dropped. Her reflection appeared faint in the mirrored interior. Steady eyes, squared shoulders. Outside the lift, the view opened to the command level. Polished obsidian floors, banners from past interstellar wars, and curved windows revealing the dying red star, casting everything in crimson light. Aria stepped out and followed a corridor that absorbed sound. Every footstep vanished into the engineered silence. At the end was a door marked Command Office. General Zirconsha paused, then pressed her palm to the access pad. The doors hissed open. The office was vast, part war room, part museum. Holotables mapped planetary borders. Trophies from conquered worlds lined the walls. Aria walked to the center, where the commander stood with his back to her, carapace gleaming. He didn't turn. You showed restraint. Aria clasped her hands behind her. I showed respect, sir. He rotated slowly, multifaceted eyes appraising her. Many here believe humans are volatile, dangerous without discipline. Yet you counted instead of striking. She met his gaze. Discipline is what makes danger precise. That earned a faint twitch of approval. A chime sounded, and a holographic projection shimmered into life, footage of the earlier confrontation captured from multiple angles. The moment Threx spit, the unblinking countdown, the effortless takedown. The commander watched without interruption. When it ended, he deactivated the display. You executed a non-lethal suppression in under 10 seconds. That is impressive. Aria didn't respond. What I fail to understand, he continued, is why you warned him. Because power without restraint is brutality, she said. And brutality isn't strength. It's insecurity. The commander studied her, considering every nuance. Most species fear their instincts. You seem to have forged yours into something controlled. I had good teachers. He paced toward the window. There are cadets here who will seek revenge. They will try to provoke you repeatedly. Aria stood unmoving. I don't fear confrontation. It is not you I am concerned about, he replied. Diplomatic consequences are dangerous. If you start an incident, Earth suffers. I understand. He turned again, antennae angling forward. Cadet Solace, why is humanity here? To prove we belong. No, he corrected. You are here because we fear what you might become. Silence followed. Dense, heavy. The commander stepped closer. Your world is classified as a death world. Predators evolved as problem solvers. Pain made your species inventive. His eyes narrowed. I have seen battlefields. I know that look when I see it. Aria's jaw tightened. I do not seek conflict. And yet conflict follows you. Before she could speak, a loud crash echoed from the corridor outside. Voices, movement, a metallic scraping. The commander reacted instantly. Remain here. He moved toward the doors. They slid open and revealed a cluster of cadets dragging someone between them. Threx. His arm hung at an unnatural angle, pride even more broken. We demand punishment, a cadet shouted. She disgraced a decorated lineage. She assaulted him. She humiliated our house. Threx struggled upright, seething with hatred instead of pain. Expel her. The commander stepped aside so they could all see Aria standing behind him, expression unreadable. Threx pointed a shaking claw at her. She is a human animal who... "Stop," the commander said. The word hit harder than any blow. With a gesture, he activated the holoprojector. The footage appeared again, every angle, every movement. It left no room for doubt. "You want honor restored?" the commander asked. "Then study this recording." She issued a verbal warning. He dismissed it. She used less than lethal force and de-escalated. If she wanted to end him, she could have. Every cadet went silent. Threx's breath came uneven. Anger consumed whatever rationality he had left. "She threatened me," Arya spoke at last. "I gave you a choice," he snarled. "You think you're better than us?" "No," her voice stayed flat. "I think I am responsible for myself." Threx lunged again, but pain stopped him. He staggered. The other cadets looked away from him, not in loyalty, but embarrassment. The commander faced him. "Cadet Threx Varzul, you brought disgrace to your house through arrogance." He pointed to the floor. "Kneel," Threx's eyes widened. "You cannot command that." "I can," the commander said, "and I will." Threx resisted. Pride cracked through his expression. His legs trembled as he slowly lowered himself, dropping to one knee on the cold floor. The commander looked at Arya. "Cadet Solace." She stepped forward. The commander's voice lowered. "You proved restraint is not weakness. Strength controlled earns respect. Demonstrate that now." Arya faced Threx. Broken ego, quivering rage, humiliated beyond repair. He met her gaze, expecting cruelty. Instead, she simply said, "Learn from this. No mockery. No gloating, just truth." Threx flinched harder than if she'd struck him. The commander turned toward the gathered cadets. "Because of her actions, the official record will state that a human cadet demonstrated superior discipline and technique. Training manuals will reference this incident." An uproar started, then stopped when the commander raised his hand. "You will all remember today," he said, voice resonant. The human counted down. She did not attack. She enforced consequence. Cadets shifted, uncomfortable with what that meant. She had power, and she chose control. The commander stepped back and bowed, a formal warrior's acknowledgement. Everyone stared. Threx looked as though the ground had vanished beneath him. Arya held her composure, even as a flicker of disbelief crossed her features. "You bow to her?" whispered a cadet. The commander straightened. "Respect is earned." He dismissed everyone with a final command. "Return to your duties." Cadets dispersed, whispering. Even those who had mocked her avoided eye contact, stepping aside to let her pass. Arya walked through them like they were mist. Whispers followed her like shadows. She warned him. She counted. Humans give chances. That's terrifying. She reached the observation deck overlooking the star. Peace finally settled around her. Quiet, undisturbed. Only then did she exhale, slow and steady. She wasn't trying to be feared. She wasn't trying to dominate. She was trying to prove humanity wasn't a threat. But now the Academy would remember a different truth. Humans don't start fights. Humans finish them. Footsteps approached. Arya woke before dawn. The Academy dorm room was quiet. Frost patterned across the wall-length window, reflecting the faint red glow of the dying star outside. She sat on the edge of her bunk, lacing her boots with movements that were steady and unhurried. Her body ached, not from combat, but from the weight of what she'd shown. Humans weren't prey. A soft chime announced morning alerts. The display beside her bunk flickered with new data. Mandatory exam. Combat Simulation Arena 3. Pairing, Cadet Solace versus Class Unit. Bravo Arya's pulse quickened. Bravo Unit wasn't a single opponent. It was 10. The hallway outside buzzed with nervous energy. Cadets avoided eye contact, but kept her within their peripheral vision, studying her like she was a new kind of gravity. No one blocked her path. No whispered insults reached her ears. They whispered to each other. Is she really fighting Bravo Unit alone? The commander approved it. Maybe she's here to test us. Arya entered the simulation arena. The air smelled faintly of ionized metal. The floor illuminated beneath her boots, holographic grids mapping the space. Arena walls rose into darkness, with tiered seats packed with cadets waiting to witness something unprecedented. General Zircon stood on an elevated platform, arms folded. His tone held no softness. You are to demonstrate controlled engagement against 10 adversaries, non-lethal force only. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Her heart thudded once. Controlled, always controlled. Bravo unit filed in, a mix of species, each taller, built for war. Their leader, a broad-shouldered female from a species known for molecular density, cracked her knuckles. You may have dominated one, she said, but we operate as one organism, Arya replied evenly. Then you should move faster. A ripple quivered through the audience. The simulation began. A siren blared, slicing the air. Bravo unit charged. No insults, no hesitation, only focus. The first cadet struck, swinging a weapon shaped like a shock staff. Arya slipped inside his reach, hooked her arm around his elbow, and drove him into the floor. No wasted motion, only redirection. 2 more attackers converged. Arya pivoted, using their momentum against them. One slammed into the wall. The other landed on the polished floor with a grunt. The crowd's silence deepened. She adjusted, scanning position. Threx had been chaos. Bravo unit was strategy. A cadet leapt from the side, aiming for her back. Arya spun, catching his wrist, using his weight to hurl him over her shoulder. He skidded across the arena. Another lunged low. She stepped on his knee, using it as leverage to arc upward and land a soft but decisive strike under the jaw. 5 down, 5 left. Her lungs burned. Sweat slipped down her temple. Controlled breathing steadied her vision. The leader of Bravo unit closed in. Precise, calculating. We studied your fight, she said. We know your timing. Arya didn't speak. She let silence stretch, then moved. Their exchange was unlike anything prior, not brute force versus calm, but skill versus skill. Arya dodged a kick by a hair's breadth. The leader countered twice as fast. The arena vibrated with anticipation. Finally, Arya found the opening. A shift in stance, a drop in guard. She struck the cadet's solar plexus, then swept her legs. The leader hit the ground hard, 8 down. The last 2 hesitated. Arya didn't attack. She simply raised her hands slowly, giving them space to choose. You don't have to fall, she said, breath steady. Yield. One cadet stepped back. The other tightened his grip on his weapon, refusing to concede. He lunged. Arya parried, then placed her palm to his chest and pushed gently. He dropped his weapon. Arena sensors blinked, match complete. The arena erupted, not with cheers, not with jeering. With stunned silence. General Zircon descended from the platform. He walked to Arya, stopping an arm's length away. The crowd leaned forward. You used minimal force, he said. No cadet sustained lasting damage, I followed directive. No, he corrected quietly. You led. He turned to the entire arena. Observe what happened. She fought 10 without ego. She fought to end conflict, not to win. This is strength, Arya swallowed. Emotion threatened to break her composure. Not pride, but relief. At last, someone understood. Hours later, Arya stood alone in the observation deck. The dying red star looked weaker, burning itself out against the void. She rested her palms on the railing and let her mind uncoil. Footsteps approached. Threx, his arm was bandaged. Every motion showed the strain of bruised pride. I came to speak, he said stiffly. Arya didn't turn. I didn't ask for your apology. I'm not giving one. The statement was blunt, brittle. I'm acknowledging truth. She finally looked at him. You showed us what we refused to see, he continued. Humans don't dominate. You endure. You measure your violence. That's terrifying. She held his gaze. You were never my enemy, he flinched. You are unlike anything we prepared for, he admitted. We expected fury. Instead, you gave us choice. Everyone deserves a chance, she replied. Even those who don't know they need one. Threx hesitated. Then awkwardly he placed his fist over his chest, their symbol of respect. No bow. No surrender. Recognition. Walk the path, human, he said, and we will follow. He left without another word. Later that evening, Arya received a transmission from Earth Command. The message appeared on her wrist screen. Humanity's status in the Academy secured. At ease, seal. She stared at the message for a long moment. She hadn't come to be honored. She'd come to prove restraint wasn't weakness. The door behind her opened again. The commander this time. Posture formal. "You altered the Academy today," he said. Arya folded her arms. "Did I?" "Before you arrived," he began, "our warriors believed strength was domination." He paused. "Now they know that the strongest fighter is the one who stops fighting first." Arya exhaled, something releasing from her chest that she hadn't realized she held. The commander faced the viewport. "This star is dying. One day we will need new allies. Today you showed us that humans are worthy of that trust." She didn't smile, but her eyes warmed. "And what did they learn?" she asked softly. "That your people are dangerous," he replied. Then he added, "Because you choose not to be." He walked away, leaving her alone with the fading star. Arya closed her eyes. She counted under her breath. Not to 10 this time, but to 1. One choice, one chance, one reason to stop. Respect earned, not through force, but through restraint.